Today we're going to be looking at King Azariah, also known as, in 2 Chronicles, as King Uzziah. The life of Uzziah, or Azariah, is found in 2 Kings 15, 1-7, and 2 Chronicles 26. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to be calling him King Uzziah. There's really four main parts to the Uzziah story as recorded in 2 Chronicles 26. First, we have the rise of Uzziah, 2 Chronicles 26, verses 1-5. After the death of his father, Amaziah, King Uzziah replaced him over Judah. And Uzziah begins his reign over Judah at 16 years old. And his reign is 52 years, which is a very long reign in the life of Judah. He's actually the second longest reigning king over Judah. Manasseh is the first at 55 years. Uzziah does right in the eyes of the Lord, as we see in 26 verse 4. This means that Uzziah obeyed the Lord. He was committed to the Lord. He was faithful to the Lord. He was not pursuing false gods. And in verse 5, we see that Uzziah seeks the Lord. This is an expression of faith. This means that you worship the Lord. You're devoted to the Lord. And Uzziah took instruction from Zechariah, who taught him to fear the Lord. And Uzziah fears the Lord. He has reverence for the Lord. He acknowledges the greatness and the glory of the Lord. He honors the Lord with his life. And the result of Uzziah seeking the Lord, fearing the Lord, is that Uzziah prospers in Judah. In fact, all of Judah prospers. Seeking the Lord, obedience to the Lord, and fear of the Lord equals prosperity. And in 2 Chronicles 26, verses 6-15, we see the results of the prosperity in the Lord because of the life of Uzziah and him seeking the Lord. In verses 6-8 of 2 Chronicles 26, we see the military victories of Uzziah. Uzziah defeats the Philistines, the Arabs, the Munites, and the Ammonites. But this victory doesn't come about by the power of Uzziah. This power came about by God's grace given to Uzziah. We see this in 26 verse 7. The Lord helped Uzziah. And because the Lord helped Uzziah, in verse 8 of chapter 26, Uzziah became strong. We also see his domestic successes in verses 9-10. Uzziah builds towers. He builds other infrastructure, and this is the sign of a prosperous nation. We also see that under his care there was booming agricultural endeavors. Cisterns are made. That's to provide water. He had large flocks and prosperous crops. And then we have his army success. In verses 11-15 in 2 Chronicles 26, Uzziah had many armed forces and built many weapons for war. And the fame in verse 15 of 26 of Uzziah was far spread. And so Uzziah prospered, but unfortunately his strength went to his head. And we see this in 2 Chronicles 26, verses 16-21. Uzziah became strong, and his strength went to his head. He got prideful. Uzziah became prideful, and his pride led to his downfall, just as we read in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs 11, verse 2. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. Proverbs 16, verse 18. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. And his pride, Uzziah's pride, led him to do something absolutely foolish and wicked. In the temple, he sought to be a priest and offer fire on a censer before the Lord. And this is something that is strictly prohibited. This is only something that the Aaronic priests, the priests of Aaron, would do. Also, this rebellion of Uzziah is actually very similar to the rebellion of Saul. In 1 Chronicles 10 verse 13, it says there that Saul died for his breach of faith. He broke faith with the Lord, and that he did not keep the command of the Lord. He also consulted a medium seeking guidance. Well, the priests confront Uzziah for his actions, and he becomes angry. And the Lord strikes Uzziah with leprosy. Then Uzziah is ushered out of the temple. Now he's made a leper, so till the day of his death, he's in isolation. He cannot be around people. And this is how a leper was to live, as described in Leviticus 13, verses 44 to 46. They're to live in isolation, and when they go out of isolation around people, they're to cry out, "Unclean, unclean." And then we have the ending of the life of Uzziah, verses 22 and 23 of 2 Chronicles 26. Uzziah died and was buried with the other kings. And they say about Uzziah here in verses 22 and 23, he was a leper, and his son Jotham takes his place. Well, the 2 points of application I get out of the story of Uzziah, there's really many. We could focus upon pride leading to your downfall, seeking the Lord, equaling prosperity, and those are good points of application. But here in the life of Uzziah, we see the judgment of God. We see that the Lord punishes sin. Uzziah becomes proud in his strength, and he rebels against the Lord. And the Lord strikes him down with leprosy. Verse 20 of 2 Chronicles 26, the Lord struck him. The Lord is a holy God who punishes sin. But we also see the amazing grace of God in the life of Uzziah. The Lord prospered Uzziah. The Lord made Uzziah strong. The Lord won battles for Uzziah. The Lord showed grace to Israel through the leadership of Uzziah. Israel, or the nation of Judah, prospered under Uzziah, and this was all the grace of God. God shows grace and good to people who do not deserve it. And that's at the very heart of the gospel. God shows good to us through the person and work of Jesus Christ. 1 John 3:16, by this we know love, that he laid down his life for us. Jesus laid down his life for us, showed us love by him going to the cross. Thanks for watching, and God bless.